Hey, check, check. Hey there. Hi there, and welcome to the Home Studio Rescue. My name is Chris, and today I'm going to talk to you about why you don't need to buy expensive recording equipment. Now, I'm going to pull up my little slides just so I can talk through that. And so I guess I'll just start by saying that, you know, uh, when you start recording, usually there's this question of, maybe my recordings would sound better if I had this microphone or this preamp or this compressor or whatever. And that was my question for a long time because my recordings didn't sound the way I wanted them to. And so I started looking to buy a sound. And really, that led me to spend like $20,000 on recording equipment over like a 4 or 5 year period. And then it ultimately led me to Nashville to the Blackbird Academy where I went to audio school. And at that place, it's kind of like the Willy Wonka of recording gear. They have everything you'd ever want, any kind of recording equipment, preamps, Neve consoles, vintage microphones. They've got like 1,400 mics. So I went to this place basically off of my gear lust. I spent all this money on recording equipment, and I was basically on gear sluts every day just trying to figure out why my recordings weren't quite where the people I listened to, where their recordings were. And so from there, I went to Nashville, spent all this time at Blackbird, 6 months there, and then I interned for a couple of like really big name audio engineers, and I got to learn from some of the best people. And one of the things I realized was that it isn't about the equipment that you use to record the music. A lot of it has to do with the player, the instrument, the room, all that stuff, the song, all that is much more important than the microphone or the preamp you use. And I would ask people at Blackbird, I was lucky enough to speak to people like Vance Powell or Joe Ciccarelli or Andrew Sheps, and I would ask them about some of my favorite records like Audio Slave or the Raconteurs record, where I'd ask about the drum sound, and it was always the same. The answer was always the same, is that it's the sound of the drummer in the room. It had nothing to do with the equipment and all that stuff. And I knew that answer was coming a lot. And so eventually I'd say, "Hey, give me something. Like, what microphone did you use? What preamp? Give me something besides it's the microphone." And or it's the drummer, it's the player. Like, how does Jack White get his guitar sound? It's him playing the guitar. That's how he gets it. And so um, I learned over that time that it really isn't about the recording equipment. That's just kind of used to capture a performance. And really, it's about the musician and the instrument. And so when I got back from Blackbird, I sold a lot of my outboard gear. You can kind of see behind me, I still have a Distressor and a Pacifica, and that's it. I have a Focusrite Scarlett. I used to have 32, I had like 16, or no, it was an Antelope Orion, 32 inputs, 32 outputs. I used to do analog summing. I used to have outboard compressors, all this different stuff that I would mix through. And what I discovered at Blackbird is that the plugins are actually pretty close as far as like a Fairchild compressor. Name a compressor, name something that's modeled by UAD or Slate Digital or any of that, and most of it is very close. Not It's not close enough to tell the difference. I recorded a band at Blackbird, and the singer used an SM7 in one part of the song, and like in the verses, and then in the choruses, he used a U47. We're talking like a $25,000 mic. And in that mix, you couldn't tell the difference between what mic was what. Which one cost $350 or $400, and which mic cost $25,000. You couldn't tell the difference. So when I got home from Blackbird, I sold all my gear. What you see behind me here is what I have. And really, I usually use my Focusrite 18i20 for most of the stuff, and then for vocals, I do think you need a nice preamp and a compressor, but really that's just a luxury. You could probably get by with like a Universal Audio Solo or a whatever their cheapest interface is at this point, where you could just record in real time with their plugins and whatnot. You could probably get away with that, or any of the Slate stuff. I've heard that his microphones that are modeled are really great. But so the point of this whole thing is that you don't need to have expensive recording equipment. And with this channel, originally I wanted to make mixing videos and teach everybody how to EQ a kick drum or whatever, teach people how to mix. But really what's come about is that more people are interested in things like how much Pro Tools cost, or why you shouldn't buy Waves plugins, or, kind of the like, should I buy this? Should I buy that? And so my hope is to save you guys from spending the tens of thousands of dollars I spent on recording equipment to make my music sound better. And then I went to audio school and spent even more money, tons of money. I moved my wife, we just got married. I moved us to Nashville 6 months into our marriage, or not even that, over this gear lust. And so, my hope is that I can save you from that and let you know that you can make great music with what you have right now with digital audio workstations. It doesn't matter if you're in Pro Tools or Ableton or Logic or whatever you're recording in, any of those will work. Even GarageBand is good enough. That is not a barrier anymore. Like cheap stuff like the Focusrite Scarlett Solo, those types of things, depending on what you wanna record or what you are recording, any of that stuff will work. It's all high quality. It's higher quality than what we had 15 years ago and 10 years ago and whatever, it is all, it's of a quality that you can make whatever type of music you wanna make right now with the gear that you have. You don't need this stupid microphone, which I've made a couple of videos on it, because it is not, it needs a lot of gain in order to be used properly. I have a really nice preamp right there, and that's what I'm talking through. But if I was to plug this into the Scarlett Solo, wouldn't have enough gain. So you don't even need this mic. All you need is something like a condenser mic, like maybe a condenser mic or a dynamic mic. You could get like $100, like what, a CO1 or whatever, an $80 mic and an SM57, and that would be more than enough to record vocals, guitars, acoustic guitars, whatever you're doing. If you're gonna be doing drums, you're gonna need to get something like the 18i20, and I made a video on that as well. It's probably gonna be somewhere, depending on how many mics you want, in the $2,000 range. So, but that stuff is good enough. You can get by. And so one of the things that I saw at Blackbird is we had these professional musicians. We had the studio guys come in, and all of their gear, their drums, their guitar amps, whatever, they would come in before they recorded. And the guys just walked in, everything was immediately set up to how they liked it. So we had a student test one of the studio drummers' drum sets through probably $1 million recording chain. I mean, it was going into a Neve console. It was in one of the best studios in the world. It had $100,000 microphones on it and all that stuff. And the student played the guy's drums, and it sounded pretty good. The drummer walked in, and he started playing it, and it immediately sounded amazing. Nothing had changed. No settings, none of it. I mean, we're dialing preamp gain and things like that, but that was it. It was the same drums. It was the same microphones in the same room, all that stuff. And it wasn't about the drum set. I mean, that had something to do with it, but it wasn't about the microphones. It wasn't about a Neve console, or, you name it. It wasn't about any of the stuff, any of the chain that was getting it into Pro Tools. It was about the drummer. The moment that guy started playing the drums, they sounded done. And so that's the lesson that all those big name engineers were trying to tell me when I would say, "Hey, how'd you get this drum sound?" It's the way the people sound in the room. If you don't like the way your recordings are sounding, something needs to change at the source. You need to start at the source. If it's the drums, then maybe they need to be tuned differently. If you want a John Bonham sound, then maybe you need bigger drums. Maybe you actually need to learn how to like properly hit the drums. I'm not trying to be a jerk or anything like that, but any of that stuff, like the guitar amp, all that stuff. Jack White, his guitar tone comes from him playing the guitar. That's what it sounds like when Jack White plays the guitar. You might be able to get the amp, you might be able to get the guitar. You might not sound like Jack White after that, but maybe you can. That's a little easier to model than John Bonham drums or Dave Grohl. It just depends on the player. The tone comes from them. This mic, it's like, I think Michael Jackson recorded like Billie Jean with it or something like that. No matter how hard I try, me singing through this mic is not going to sound like Michael Jackson singing Billie Jean. It's about the tone in his voice. I mean, unless you sound like that already, then this stuff isn't going to matter. It's about what's coming out, what you're playing, the instrument, the source. It starts at the source, and it's something I've heard for the past 10 years, and I didn't really wanna listen, and so it was a very expensive lesson for me to learn, and so I'm just trying to save you guys from chasing that dragon, from, trying to buy a sound. It doesn't work. You just gotta start with, "Does this sound good in the room?" And then from there, take whatever your microphone, whatever instrument you're playing, and move the mic. If you have multiple microphones, try a different mic. Maybe try miking it with 2 mics, do certain things. Just change the way you're doing things. Try to do something different, because it does. It starts at the source. And at this point, we have a lot of different things, a lot of different plugins, even that just come with your regular digital audio workstation. All of that stuff should work to help you make great music. There's a lot of tools there, and you can change things a lot in Pro Tools and whatever your DAW is. At this point, like, I trigger drums a lot. Like, there was a band I recorded, they went to Blackbird, they recorded an amazing room, and everything sounded good except for the tone of their snare drum. They did not pick the right snare drum. So I had to go in after the fact and put triggers in. There's a lot of things you can do after the fact in Pro Tools, but my best advice would be start at the source, get the sound you want going in right away. If you want a Foo Fighters guitar tone, it needs to sound like that in the room. If you want a Nirvana drum sound, or I don't know, I'm naming all this 90s stuff, name something modern. If you want that sound, it's probably going to need to sound like that in the room. Unless it's just electronic, you can do that in your digital audio workstation. So that's pretty much my message. If you guys have any questions or comments, leave them down below. If you don't agree, I tried to make this video with a slideshow, which is how I've been working these days, and it really didn't work for me. So I just felt like I should go live. I usually try to put out videos Monday and Friday, but I've kind of been experimenting between Monday and Wednesday when my first video of the week's going to come out. But I will say I'm going to put up a video every Friday. That's my goal. And I'm going to try to sprinkle in some live streams and also put in, I'm going to try to do 2 videos a week. And I would like to do some mixing tutorials and things like that and show you guys just different mixing techniques I use. Just to be honest with you guys, this isn't my full-time job. I have another job. It's hard to make it in music, and it's hard to work full time for mixing and recording. And this is my townhouse. I used to have a basement studio where I could record live bands. And at this point, I usually just make my own music here. I have a couple of bands that I work with for mixing and recording, like guitars and vocals. But this is just kind of like my little project studio. I write my own songs here, and I don't do this full time. My hope is that one day my YouTube channel will be big enough, and that I can, make some money off of it, and also help people on YouTube, on the internet, learn how to record and mix and make music from home, and also get over this idea that you need to have a certain piece of gear, because that's a lie. It's a marketing scheme. All this stuff, all the plugins, all that stuff, they can be helpful. A Neve preamp is nice. This stuff I have behind me, believe it or not, I think about selling it all the time. Like, it's nice to have $1,000 compressor, but there's a lot of options out there. I think about trading in for like a UAD, whatever their little interface is where you can record with plugins. If I was starting over today, that's where I would start. So I hope this helps. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any, oh, hey, range control, man, I see you there. You got some questions for me. How do I look at this? Is like my second live stream. So let's see what you have to say here. I don't know why these aren't just, oh, there you are. Hey, man, what questions you got? Thanks for watching, dude. I appreciate, and thanks for all your support as well. I really appreciate that. You're always going back and forth with me. I appreciate all the feedback. I really do. Um, so let's see. It says you have 4 questions. I'm trying to see how I can access this. Sorry for the dead air here. Maybe I need to look at the chat. Maybe I can do it on my phone here. I'm sorry, guys. Let's see. Trying to lose you. I really do appreciate you guys for watching the channel and everything. It really means a lot. So I've been doing this since February, and it's just every view, every subscriber, every little interaction is a victory and kind of a way to. For me, it's one of those things where it just encourages me to keep making the videos and everything. So I really appreciate all that. I am looking at the live stream now. I'm almost at the comments. Let's see. How do I do this? Sorry, learning curve. All right. Does the Vienna Symph Ensemble also stream VST FX or only instruments? Oh man. I'll say the same thing I've said in the comments before. I'd have to research this for you. I don't use the Symph Ensemble. Um, I'm sorry, man. So yeah, I'm mostly in Pro Tools, and yeah, honestly, I don't know what that is. So I'm gonna have to do some research for you, and I will try to come up with an answer for you. Um, yeah, I'm mostly an expert, or I would say I'm an expert in like Pro Tools and pretty much anything I own, like Slate plugins, Wave plugins, UAD plugins, Pro Tools plugins. That's what I use to mix and record. I also use like Output Arcade, which I think is an awesome subscription model. I've used that to write a lot of the different songs that I've been working on. I use Easy Drummer, so it's like there are certain things that I'm an expert in, and then there's other stuff that I will try to help you. But I honestly I don't know all the answers, so sorry, man. I will look into that though. Um, so next question, like, what's the deal with mixer slash interface on screen mixer controls outside of DAWs with routing audio? Sorry. So, um, I use OBS to record my videos. That's how and you have to go into, they have a sound setting and you just have to select your interface. So whatever program you're using, there's probably some kind of playback control. I would just, you got to go in there and select whatever audio interface you have. Like if it's a Focusrite Solo or whatever it is, you have to go into the playback engine of whatever software you're using and select that in order for you to hear audio and in order for you to use your microphones and whatnot. Um, the advice I would give you, so I almost worked at Sweetwater. They were about ready to like fly me out to Indiana. I'm not in any way affiliated with them. I didn't work for Sweetwater, but what I will say is that if you have a question and you're in the United States, you probably can call them from other countries as well, but call those people and you don't even have to buy anything from them in order for them to answer your questions. But when I first started out 10 years ago, they helped me set up my studio. I was gonna buy like a $3,000 Mac, like one of the like the big tower computers, like a desktop, and they steered me towards an iMac instead. So they saved me a lot of money there, and I've trusted them ever since. And they've helped me build my studio. They've helped me like when I had outboard gear that I was like routing and all this other stuff, and I needed patch bays and things like that. They helped me with that stuff. So call Sweetwater. They will help you. You can also ask me and I'll do my best, but unfortunately, I'm not the Dalai Lama. I don't know it all. Um, but I will definitely try to help you out. So let's see. Sorry, man. Hopefully that helps. Yeah, just select your playback engine in whatever software you're using and select your audio interface. If you're trying to do like video or screen recordings, I definitely recommend OBS. There's probably a lot of other stuff out there as well, but all right. And so thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. You can always just leave comments below and here we go. My Personas 18 has a digital mixer outside of DAW. And I'll read it for you guys. I mean, like my Personas 18 I-18 VSL has its own digital mixer outside of DAWs, and I don't know what it's for, like a mixer on screen. Okay, so that's probably for like your headphone mix. Like you could probably send signal to that. And like for me, I have a Focusrite 18i20, and I have two headphones. You can't really see it. Let's see. So I have two headphone inputs here, and they have software in the computer that controls the volume coming out of my recorder, out of my digital audio workstation. Like, it controls that volume, and then they also have faders in there where you can control the volume of, like, right now, if I had it pulled up, I could control the volume of my microphone. And so that's useful for, like, if people come over here and record vocals and they want you can do a different headphone mix for people. That's probably what it's for. I'd have to look specifically, but I would say that is what it's for, is for your actual headphone mix, the balance. But when other people come over here, they want their vocals much louder in their headphones than I want to hear them. So I can control that through that software. So I'm thinking that's what that is for. Um, you don't have to use that, but I mean, that probably is part of your headphones. I could be wrong. And like I said, I can take a look online and try to figure that out for you. I would also, or you could just YouTube Personas 1818 VSL. So yeah, the digital mixer, that's probably for headphones. Let's see here. Yeah, I will do that probably off camera, and come back with an answer for you. So, but yeah, man, thank you so much, Range Control. I appreciate you watching the channel and always coming up with questions for me. All right, if you got anything else, I'll do, I'll try my best for a couple more if you want. Okay, you're welcome, man. So yeah, thanks again. I definitely appreciate it. And if any of you guys have questions, then just leave them here and I will respond as quickly as possible. And also, like Range Control is doing, if there's anything you're struggling with when it comes to recording or any of that, it's all I welcome all of it, because I'm still learning on what to make videos for. I have an idea of what I want to make videos for, but they don't really get views. So I'm kind of struggling between, do I make more of these? How much or why you should buy this or that, or don't buy this? And like, a lot of that comes from my experience, like with the Wave stuff that really pissed me off when I had to pay $240 for an update. And so, and that video is doing well, but I don't really want to just do music reviews all the time, or plugin reviews or product reviews or whatever, but unfortunately that's what's getting hits. But if there's a certain kind of video you'd like to see, like a how to, like, mic something, or how to get, a better synth sound or something like that, or how to EQ anything, you guys just leave a comment and I'll try to make a video on that. I'm I'm desperately searching for ideas outside of product reviews. So, all right, man. Thank you. Oh, about the ensemble waves. Okay. Waves is what I'm asking about. All right, dude. So I'm going to do some research and I'll get back to you in the next day or so. Just with some kind of answer. I'll kind of look up what you're talking about. So, all right, man. All right, waves control, or range control, and I don't know the other person watching, but thank you so much for watching. And if you guys see this later, I do have a website. It's homestudiorescue.com, and there's a couple of free guides I have there. If you guys are interested, you can just download them for free. You just got to give your email. And like I said, please like and subscribe. I make videos like this every week. And if you guys like this streaming, this was kind of fun. So I think maybe I'll try to do it again next week. So, all right. Thanks. Bye.